shit, man, I ain't that good. I ain't gonna make it.
I was the mayor of my city.
I think I invented the metal kick drum sound. That's the most I've ever seen my father play drums.
Did that equate to record sales?
No.
Why'd you guys break up?
I had went to LA to stay with my cousin, right? My cousin lived in LA. He was a movie guy doing stuff. And I went out there kind of checking out the LA scene at that time, right? And he lived with a couple of other guys and they were working on this movie. And they knew, I brought my guitar with me, of course. They knew I was a guitar player. So they came home one day, they're like, hey man, we're working on this movie about a band. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I said, yeah, it's called Spinal Tap. I'm like, I've never heard of it, like whatever. He's like, yeah, maybe I'll get you something. So he said, we're wrapping the next day. So the next day they go there and he comes back home and you know the orange shirt with the Spinal Tap skull on it, this tour dates on the back, they had just a small stack of those that they would loan out to guys that were going to be in a shot that had that. They didn't have like hundreds of them, they just had a stack of them, right? So David St. Hubbins is wearing one in one time. A couple of the roadies are wearing one, the Jazz Odyssey, the guys are giving them that. So they had the stack of those. So he grabbed two of those shirts after they wrapped and finished the movie, gave them to me. So I have two of the original orange Spinal Tap tour shirts in my possession. So pretty awesome. They don't fit, needless to say. They're a little small now, but pretty awesome. And if I could ever, so one of my goals is to get to those guys somehow at a NAMM show or someplace, get them to autograph the original shirt, because that would be pretty awesome. So I had no idea at the time. I'm like, okay, band shirt, threw it in my suitcase, never thought anything about it. Then years later, it's like, do I still have those shirts? Because this is amazing, you know? So it's history now.
I think a lot of us, like, we experienced some discrimination.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we know what that felt like, you know, to get like singled out and just like be given a hard time and act like, even like when we were doing a thing. Now a lot of times we want to do it, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, just being singled out just because, you know, we're driving around beat up cars because all our money's going into our gear and you know, hair's down to here. One of my favorite things though, like to do, is like we could sit in a car and like and whoever was driving had to be watching like the rearview mirror, you know, and then when it call it out if like some dudes were coming up because they think that they're coming up to a carload of chicks, you know, and it's just like, oh, here they come, and then like as soon as they get up, they'd be like, okay, look over, and then all of us would look over and you just see that look on their face. We lived for that, man. Sorry, I keep spitting, but man, we lived for that. That was so much fun. Just like fuck with people. Rock and roll!
You know, clowns were supposed to do a show at Lone Star with Bullet Boys.
Okay, yeah.
And it was one of those deals where they had an opening act touring with them.
Right.
And then they like to have an opener from local to bring in, you know, other people and stuff. And I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was one of those deals where we get up there and we had all our shit out, getting ready to, you know, put up and, you know, on stage, off to the side of the stage, and all of a sudden, you're not playing.
With that show, yeah, I couldn't tell you. My experience like that would have been okay. So I did this thing at the Lone Star, and I'm thinking that maybe it was the band Leather Toys, so they wanted to play second on a 3-band bill. Okay. The Romeo Slam was going to play third. Well, Leather Toys finished playing, and the manager, Steve Conklin, was like, we're closing. And it's like, what? We were closing. You'd be open until 3. Oh, and the band, the guys in the Romeo Slam, of course, it was all my fault. They gave me shit about it, and it was kind of out of my hands. There's nothing I can do. I can't make them stay open. This girl Star was a DJ. I was like, why can't you let them play? But
did advertise once on Z-Rock for a show. It might have been the same. Not Barley's. Laney's? No, not Laney's. Was it Barley's? Is that the downstairs bar? So, yeah, because Adam Lavelle and I, like, he was promoting a show that Naked Ape did with a couple of other bands, and he and I went to the Z-Rock studio and recorded a commercial for it, and the only thing I remember, like, Adam did most of the talking, as he does, and which is weird, which is a challenge with me, but like it was December 26th, and the only line that I had was, "That's the day after Christmas, isn't it, Adam?" You know, and I leaned into it. It's like, and that's the day after Christmas. You know, it's like I went into my, like, whatever, like, voice, and just every time I'd say it, he was trying not to laugh, and I was trying not to laugh, but I just kept, like, leaning. Adam, I hear that's the day after Christmas. But it was a great show. I mean, we had a lot of people there, a lot of friends. And I think it was with Brain Candy and Lize.
I think back in those early days, you know, we were just all over the place because you're still trying to figure out who you are, and what you like to play and write and what have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I say,
And you'd hear something new, and it would change your aspect of it. That was kind of, you know, Chucky was all into some other things that we weren't into, you know, which kind of affected our style a little bit, which is okay. I mean, it fit. But, you know, Brad was into Sabotage, I think, you know, really big into that, and that type of riff style. So yeah, we were, and PJ was into a little experimental type playing.
Flock of Seagulls type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, whatever. And I can say it now, you know, I like the theatric kind of weird stuff, you know. But I mean, I go back to the disco area that everybody hated. I love the disco, you know. It's not something I said back then, but I love that sound. I can put on a Bee Gees record and listen to it all day long, you know. So we all brought something different to the table. And then I think that's what makes really good bands, is you're all a little bit different, but you're on the same path, you know. And then you can build your influence can create that song, which I felt like we did.
You know, one of the cool things that when we got our demo, and I can't remember, I think it was Without Your Love, the song on our demo tape, or EP. We got one of the, actually they had a Battle of the Bands type, or Battle of the Songs type deal on, I believe it was Q104. And they played one of our songs, and I think we were up against Julian Lennon, a song that he had on there. And we actually won one of the nights with, you know, we had all our friends voting, you know, multiple votes obviously, but that was cool. And then, I don't know what you guys did, but we, a couple of I think it was Mike Stewart and Chris Berlin, went up to Chicago to A&M Records trying to get us a record deal and everything. Of course, they're like, you guys need some work. But that was kind of cool too. So we kind of, you know, we experienced a lot of facets of the business, you know, or angles in the business. And so, you know, it's kind of cool to draw back on those memories sometimes.